hey, it's good or bad. We haven't done this in a long time. It's slightly different than good or bad. It's good or bad, but it's like mixed with first impressions because neither of us has beaten the game. I own it, you don't. But you played it. You came over and played it last night. We played it on stream on Twitch, which had some people come and join us, which was fun.
Ooh, right in the fire. Right in the kiss.
I'm about 40% through the game, but I have lots of impressions and things to talk about. And we're also eventually going to be doing a bit by bit. We decided to make it sort of a two-part Spider-Man series.
Yes.
You have Spider-Man 2
for the GameCube.
For GameCube.
For my Frankenstein GameCube.
I'm gonna need you to send me a picture of that so I can insert it here.
Yes.
So we played that last night. We had an issue capturing it, so we're gonna do that again and capture the video. But there will be a bit by bit about Spider-Man 2. But this is our review, kind of good or bad for Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man.
It was like a cross between Spider-Man 2 and God of War.
And Arkham. Any of the Arkham games.
Yeah, and any of the Arkham games. I mean, it has positives and some negatives, at least for me anyways.
Yeah. I have a big, long list of notes, so because I've played a lot more of it. So, for me, what I thought was really fascinating, because I've been really looking forward to this game for, I don't know, since it got announced, and I saw the trailer like a year or two ago. One, I love Insomniac games. Ratchet & Clank series is like my favorite series of all time. We did a bit by bit about it. You can go watch that. I was really looking forward to it because I wanted to see what Insomniac did with it. And what they did is they went, hey, remember that Spider-Man 2 game that was really, really good? Let's make that, except now, like modern, and then we'll do our own little thing with it. Like a little add-on.
In Brian's words, we do this better now.
Yeah, we do this better now. And... it's true. we do this better now. But that was what really struck me, especially after going back, because I played Spider-Man 2 way back in the day. You know, I had it for PlayStation 2, not a game because I didn't have a GameCube. But
watching you try to put your hands on a GameCube controller,
it's been a while.
Painful.
I played a fair amount of GameCube, especially like Mario Party and like Smash and stuff. But like it's been a long time. And like my friends had GameCubes, but I never had one. And so yeah, getting a hold of and learning the buttons. But you know what's funny is that when we transferred, so we played an hour or two of Spider-Man 2 first, and then we switched over to the new Spider-Man for PS4. The button layout is identical, essentially.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
The control scheme is almost identical. Like, you swing with the right trigger, obviously. There's a web zip that is left trigger, right trigger at the same time. Although there's also a secondary one in the new one that's like X that does kind of what the old one did. The dodge button for Spidey sense is circle.
It's exact same.
It's circle on PlayStation, but it was the X
which is pretty close. Square and B, same thing pretty much.
Yeah, and now there's the added
A for jump. X.
Yeah, and Y is your web. You know, web attack and that sort of thing. So it literally, they're like, this works great. Let's just do that better. Which was really great. So I want to talk about the web swinging. We're going to go point by point a little bit through some of the stuff I really like. I mean, you can already tell, for me at least already, it's a good overall. I've played a lot of it. I think I would highly recommend going and picking it up. So far, I've played, somebody asked this, we were streaming on Twitch last night, somebody asked, like, do you think you get tired of it? Or like, how much do you think it's worth the $60 basically? Because it's not a multiplayer game. It's not something you're going to play 100 hours of probably. I do so far. I've probably played 15 to 20 hours already, and I'm only 40% done with the game because I'm going and doing so much of the side missions, and it's just so fun to swing around New York City.
I think the original Spider-Man 2 is worth the $60.
Yeah.
So this is definitely...
Yeah. There's a ton of content. I mean, even like the thing that is so much fun about it is literally just, and we were doing this even in the Spider-Man 2 one, just you jump in and you just swing around because it's like the most satisfying.
Oh, it's so great.
Swinging around as Spider-Man in the game is so satisfying, and they captured it the best. I've played a few of the recent Spider-Mans. I think one of the amazing ones was the last one I played. It wasn't very good. This one, from the handful I've played, recaptures the glory of swinging web slinging from Spider-Man 2, the best of any since then. It's not perfect. It's definitely more user-friendly now than the Spider-Man 2 was. So I think
That's debatable.
I think it is. It's mainly for no other reason than the camera work, I guess it's probably the coding for how cameras operate has advanced so much that the camera follows you a lot better than it used to. But it still attaches to buildings. Like actually, it seems to, because you can't, like when you're going through the park, you can't just swing on like when you're going through Central Park. You have
unlike the first Spider-Man game where you're just shooting webs into the sky,
into the nether. So the web sling is great. You can zip line around stuff. I really love zip lining to something and then vaulting off of it and like flying through. It's super satisfying. Feels super great. The combat going off of that, it is very much similar to like the Arkham games where you react and dodge to people and then counter punch them basically, and then string together combos and use your gadgets. What I think it does really well in this new one is it's pretty simple. Like you could really just get through the game probably by just dodge, punch, dodge, punch. So it's really easy and relatively simple to like be cool and like or beat up people in a fairly fun and interesting way. But once you get better at it and start incorporating environmental stuff, which you were the king of smashing people over the head with barrels that you found.
Exactly.
There you go. Slam a box on his head. Quick enough. Big fan of the box throwing on heads. Yeah. There you go, your focus bar is full. So I don't know if you have any moves unlocked with it yet. Right now it just probably makes you do more damage. Just throw every box on everybody's head. It's the best fighting style.
Yeah. But you can incorporate environmental kills, and then you can go into slow-mo and pull your gadgets out, which one of the things that Insomniac...
Environmental kills.
Yeah.
In a Spider-Man game.
Well, not kill. Environmental takedowns, we'll say.
Yes.
Or you like pull stuff down. I did one when we were playing last night where those two guys were standing next to a crane, and I zipped the crane and pulled it and knocked him with the crane.
Nice.
So stuff like that, but it's never super complex, but when you get good at it and start figuring out how to weave in environmental to your finisher, into some of your gadgets, into like a suit power, it starts looking really cool and really satisfying without being super complicated, but also complicated enough to not be shallow, I think.
Can you imagine how much brain damage Peter Parker is responsible for in that game?
Oh, so much. All of it.
Like literally, it's nothing but like disabilities left and right.
I will say not as much as Spider-Man 2. I'm saying all this and I don't have the video footage to edit.
Oh, you mean the pile driver?
The pile driver
literally
from 4 stories.
Yes.
Lucky for you, I pull my punches.
Yeah, the 4-story pile driver. I'm sure that guy's fine.
The book, and as always, if you order Mr. Jameson's book, Spider-Man, Threat or Menace, within 24 hours of our broadcast, you'll get an autographed copy.
The other thing they did incorporate from Ratchet and Clank series, I'm sure it's another series, but I most know it from the Ratchet and Clank, is the quick select gadget wheel, and they have similar things in like in other similar games. But I always thought, and the way Insomniac did that worked really well, where it slows down time. You can quickly select your gadget and then get right into the action. I think it works really well. QTEs. Let's talk about QTEs, Kyle.
I hate QTEs.
I know, and a lot of people, they were a big thing for a while, and then people started being like, let's not do as much of that. Cool thing about this one, they're completely optional. At the beginning of the game, before you start, you can say auto-complete QTEs, and then you just have a cutscene if you want. I mean, you can.
Yeah.
If you don't want to play cut, if you think QTEs are dumb, they're like, fine. Don't do them.
A QTE is just an interactive cutscene.
It is. I don't mind them as long as they're not overused. And even if you don't auto skip them in this, I think they do a good job of keeping them fairly sparse. I mean, there's some big ones like the big sequence, which I just played the other day, that was in the first trailer, where you're like, the cranes are falling and you're like running up them and zipping them and like webbing them to buildings so they don't fall on people, and then you jump on the helicopter and chase it down or whatever. There's a fair amount of QTEs in that, but that was like the most in the game so far, and that was like the big. It was otherwise you'd just be watching that cutscene, so you're just hitting a couple buttons.
Press F to pay respects.
Yeah, it's fine. Exactly.
I guess this is the plan! Come on, Pete, you got this! You got this, you got this, you got this!
There's lots of cool unlocks and upgrades so far that I've noticed. I mean, there's a ton of suits, which is a cool thing. I don't know if there were in Spider-Man 2.
No.
There are no optional suits. You get your suit.
You are Mr. Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, so there's like a bunch of suits, and you even get a lot right off the bat where you can get like choose from like 6 pretty much straight up that you can. I mean, you have to pay credits or like do side missions to get tokens to unlock them. But there's lots of really unique ones. Like there's the Noir one we looked at the other day, which I didn't even know that was a series, the Noir series. But he looks like a spy from like 1940s, 30s, like steampunky type thing. There's the Tony Stark one from Homecoming. There's a bunch of different ones, and they're all really cool and different looking. I just like the normal one that comes in with that's like the default one.
I don't think you'd be able to get the Tobey Maguire one though.
I don't know.
It's Fox.
Probably wouldn't. But I have a bunch that I haven't.
Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, yeah. I have a bunch that I haven't unlocked or like revealed yet to see what they are. So there may be, but I would doubt that you can't get it. The other thing is the skill tree, which there are skills in the Spider-Man 2. You had to go to comic book shops to, which is fun. But in this one, there's like 3 distinct skill trees that each offer like one of them's like your movement tree, where it's like upgrading like your zip lining and your swinging and stuff. And lets you do flips and cannonballs, which we'll talk about.
Is amazing.
We'll talk about here. I have the note for that at the end, and we'll talk about that moment. Because I want to make sure to include that. And but really distinct and fun and useful upgrades, but allows you to kind of pick how you want to play. Like I don't really care about like. There's a whole tree that I haven't put a single talent in. That's like use your web to pull their guns out. I'm like, why when I can just go punch their guns out of their hands with my fists? Like I don't know, so I don't ever upgrade any of that stuff. But like it allows you to kind of play differently, which is always fun. I would talk about the side quests. This is where the game both is really strong and suffers the most, I think.
Yes. Same thing with Spider-Man 2. The side quests, if you want to call it, they're basically just like little time attack challenges stuff. Yeah.
But so one of the things that so it's a completely open world, but they do what the new one this new one kind of falls prey to is the sort of generic open world side quests of like go here, it's a fort, beat up all the guys. Which is fine. It's something to do. My biggest one that I don't love is that they have the towers that have plagued every fucking open world game since Assassin's Creed, probably, where your map isn't visible and you go find a tower.
Which is incredibly stupid for a guy who's lived in New York his whole life.
That is true. He is born and raised there. He would know what's going down. But so they have these towers. They're not...
Unless he was born in like Soviet Russia. Wasn't his parents like Russian spies or something like that? Or they were American spies in Russia.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Point being,
I can't pretend to know a lot about Spider-Man.
Peter Parker should know his way around freaking New York.
He should have that map already. But so you go around and you find the towers and you do a little quick like you got to sync up a frequency. It's whatever. There's not that many, at least like in some of the games. There's like so many fucking towers. It's like obnoxious. But there's not that many, so it's not the end of the world. But so that's kind of the weak thing where it's like, all right, you're just slapping in your generic open world content. But there's some really cool side quests like the research stations. At one point, Harry Osborn's mom has built all these research stations, and you need to like go and activate them all basically. And this gets you research tokens, which lets you upgrade your gadgets.
This was exactly how not satellite signals work.
Oh, well, this particular one that you saw, yeah, and they're all kind of silly. But the thing I like about them, there's a bunch of them, and every mission form is different. So, like, one of them, the one we did last night, is you had to like get a satellite system set up. So you jump on a satellite dish, aim it around until you find the next satellite dish pointed at it, and then go to that one, and it's whatever. Right. It's silly.
So how actual satellite dishes work?
Yeah,
I mean it's ridiculous. Like. All you're doing is getting a signal and then transmitting a signal, and that's done. That's done out and about.
Sure,
he doesn't care.
It's a fucking video game.
I know. I know. It's just like that is not how that works at all. Then again, I'm hacking shit by like putting in like barcodes and stuff in the game.
Oh, you're not hacking. That's actually what spectrometers kind of look like. You're talking about the some of the research side missions in Dr. Octavius's lab. He has these ones where you do like mass spectrometry. I don't know.
I'm like working a circuit board.
Or yeah, and you're basically doing the little puzzle from BioShock where you connect. I think it's been in a bunch of games, and it's its own game itself where you connect the starting point to the ending point with different tiles and that sort of thing. And then those are fine. You don't really have to. You have to do the first one of those, and after that, you don't have to do like any if you don't want to. There's a couple missions where you have to do them, but they're like a side thing to get upgrade tokens to upgrade your gadgets, essentially. But the other research stations, so there's like one of them. You're swinging around the city, swinging through clouds of like ozone or like pollution to like get samples of it for whatever. And then another one you're going and you go out over the water and you have to get samples of the water or something that's wrong with the fish, and then you get a
Neil Breen.
Yeah, exactly. No, you do. It's great. You get a vaccine for the fish that are dying, and you swing over the water and spray it into the water.
They have anthrax from Neil Breen.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. This the Breen Goblin.
Yes, the Breen Goblin.
Somebody asked on our stream what villain in the Spider-Man universe should Neil Breen play, and I think it was Scarface. I don't remember. Somebody said the Green Goblin. I was like, yeah, the Breen Goblin.
And it only makes sense because he's wealthy.
Yeah.
He's insane.
Yeah, he has the hair for the part. It makes perfect sense, and it's the Green Goblin.
Willem Dafoe be damned.
Yeah, it would be brilliant.
This is my universe. I will eliminate all the people like you that have ruined this planet. You are done.
So there's like really unique side quests that aren't important. You don't have to do them, but they clearly put some time into them more than go here, beat up all these guys. You know what I mean? Like it's something unique.
What are you trying to say?
I'm not saying anything about.
No, it's entirely Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, no. But there are plenty of those in the new one. There are plenty of these are just dumb generic quests, but there's also some more unique, interesting ones.
Always knew it was more than one guy. Kill them both!
I've got this. Go. There's a chance to team up with the real Spider-Man? No way.
The boss fights are fine. You played the first one with Fisk. They're not groundbreaking, but they're fine. They're similar to the Arkham ones where it's dodge 6 times, shoot them with web, grab a thing, throw it, punch them. You know, it's a rinse, wash, repeat. They're fine. Again, only halfway through the game. There might be some really awesome ones later. There are some really great set pieces. The one from the trailer is the best one that I've done so far. The one where you're chasing the helicopter through the city and you have to catch it and then you get on it and you gotta take it down and then web it up. It's really fucking intense and cool. And I'm sure there's some more of that later on, but it's got some great moments and set pieces that I'm really enjoying. The voice acting is really good. One of my criticisms, I don't like how Peter Parker looks. I think he looks kind of dumb. I don't know what it is. I just think he looks kind of dumb.
Thankfully, he's in a mask most of the time.
Yeah, most of the time you're Spider-Man, but when you do see him, I'm like, you look kind of dumb. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't do much for me. I think the setting is super cool. New York feels really awesome. Apparently, so I was doing a little reading on this morning. We were talking about that one tower we climbed. It was like, is this Freedom Tower? It is, but it's not. They couldn't get the rights to use actual... You have to apparently get secure rights to use actual portrayals of buildings. Older buildings you can get away with, which is why they're like Empire State Building and stuff is actually in there. But like some of the newer buildings, so like it's not the Freedom Tower, but what they did was they found an early concept design of the Freedom Tower and used that. So it is, but it's not.
I'm not sure if that is supposed to be Freedom Tower. Maybe.
No, it doesn't look like
I mean, it doesn't look like Freedom Tower, but it might be like this universe's Freedom.
All right, just 2 more things. I want to wrap this up. Just kind of, like I said, just wanted to get my feelings out about this game because I kind of love it so far. I want to talk about photo mode. It's a little dumb thing, but it's a kind of super awesome. And it's one of those things that you don't need to have added. But and if you're on Reddit, you've seen a million of the pictures from the joke on Reddit right now is like, is there a new Spider-Man game out? Because like every fucking post is like something from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But they added this really cool feature where you go in and you can go into free mode on this camera, and there's literally all kinds of settings. I messed around with it for like 30 minutes. You can change the depth of field, you can change the exposure, you can change everything. So if you want like a super shallow depth of field or like super wide depth of field, you can add all kinds of filters to it. There's the selfie mode, which everybody sees, where it's Spider-Man holding the camera, but you can also do free mode.
And everything's frozen.
Yeah, everything's frozen except Spider-Man slowly moving around. There's also some I've seen some really cool shots of, there was one where Spider-Man like diving off the Empire State Building, and then the picture they took it and they flipped it upside down, and it looks like a movie poster, but it looks like a legitimately amazing movie poster. And so it's a little small thing that allows people to do some really fun creative stuff that you don't need to have in the game, but they did it because it's like that extra little thing. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about was this sweet glitchy.
So I had seen this on Twitter.
Yeah,
that's how I knew about it.
Yeah,
and I knew what the building.
Yeah, you knew it was the Freedom Tower or
Freedom
whatever. Yeah.
Tower. So what it was these summers. It was like a somersault.
Luckily I had it unlocked. Is one of the talents you unlock allows you to like freestyle in the air for like experience points where you can flip and stuff. And you hold triangle and circle while you're flying through the air, and then you hit a direction.
You do a roll.
If you hold forward, you do a somersault roll.
Yes, and if you do that off Freedom Tower into water, you don't exactly hit the water.
And I was not prepared for what happened.
Yes.
Cannonball! God. How many flips am I going to get? It's 2 points per flip.
Crap. Yes! Yes!
We did it! Oh, yes. I can turn. I'm going to
Infinite XP!
I'm going to roll the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, man.
Oh, no. Dang it.
You're just rolling on top of water.
Rolling on top of the water. And I was like, holy shit. And you were right. It's like an infinite experience glitch. If I had just gone in circles, because you can turn too.
Yeah.
You can roll yourself. If I had just rolled in circles, I wanted to roll across to like Ellis Island, but so I got too far out, and the game was like, hey, leaving the play area, and it basically, when that happened, it made me stop rolling. But I was not expecting that, and I hope they never fix that glitch. It's not a game-breaking. I mean, I guess it is. You could abuse it for infinite experience.
XP.
But you would have to sit there, or you'd have to like tape the buttons down and like put a rubber band on your control. It's a nightmare.
I was wanting that to work because I've seen that online.
I hadn't seen that at all. That's amazing. Holy shit. So that's all I got. Spider-Man PS4. It's good, I think. Kyle, you had fun with it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was good.
And again, you only played it for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I've always had a problem when it comes to games that restrict you to what the game makers want you to see. I know it's a stupid, petty thing.
I know I can have that problem. I don't think. Let me go ahead. What do you mean in this?
So something like, say, Thief, where their way of making you see what they want you to see is certain little choke points, but not a choke point that feels contrived.
Right.
Or contrived. Yeah. Like in Thief, the way you know that you're going to get into a choke point per se is you got a locked door, you pick the lock, it opens, you got like a grate or something like that.
Yeah.
It's those choke points. This choke point is, hey, look, a building's collapsing and you got to squeeze through this little area.
That was one moment. And then
the reason I say that is because of the Uncharted series, which did that a lot.
Yeah, and the Tomb Raider series used to do that a lot, and it would also be for the joke in those is always you jump whenever you jump down off a ledge and like that you can't climb back up. You know shit's about to go down.
Yeah, exactly.
That was you were playing the opening. So part of that I think you're experiencing is you're playing the opening level, which is the tutorial, and it's a lot more constricted and focused on where you have to go. And this main story missions kind of do that a bit more, where they funnel you a bit more. But outside of that, you can do whatever the fuck you want all the time. And I think they did a pretty good job of allowing that. But I understand what you're saying. I get it. You're not wrong.
And most of that's just me being a cynical asshole.
It's fine. You know. It's fine. Like I said, I was watching you play it,
I still give it good.
I was about to say, for the hour and a half played, you really seemed to enjoy it, and I could tell it.
Especially once I got free to move wherever I wanted to go.
Yeah. Once you got to run around and do and web sling, and it's really if you liked Spider-Man 2 and you want it to recapture that on a modern platform, this does about as good.
And
as
you can just be an asshole and throw trash cans and manhole covers around.
Yeah, it's just random people. Fuck them.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it. Go check out Spider-Man for the PS4. Look for our bit by bit of Spider-Man 2 once we record that. Eventually. We are doing it, and we recorded it, and then it didn't record. So we have the audio of our playthrough, but we don't have the video, so it's kind of useless. But yeah, look out for that. And I had one more thing I was going to say, and now I can't remember what it is. So, the end.